Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite a show, as we have a lot to get into in the world of Southern California sports, such as the Chargers continuing to make great hires. But are they really great, or are they just smoke and mirrors, wanting everyone to get hyped, only to see the Chargers fall flat on their face? But they have had some interesting hires, and they got another hire on deck. Also, UCLA football might be saying goodbye to Chip Kelly as he is heading to The Ohio State to become their offensive coordinator? Interesting to say the least. And the Clippers have been hot as they actually did hold the number one seed in the Western Conference, but for how long? And are they still the number one seed? And the Lakers unveiled the Kobe Bryant statues yesterday. Did they follow that up with a win over the Denver Nuggets? Also, got a little bit of volleyball news. I know it's not set point, but Tyler Hildebrand is departed from Long Beach State. Where is he gone? And is this team in Southern California? Also, the Kings and Ducks are back on the ice after their All-Star break. Can the Kings stay in playoff contention, and can the Ducks not suck? All that and more, and here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday evening, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you have made your way into episode 167 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be live without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on Spreaker. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several social media platforms such as X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. We also have a Facebook page. All you just have to do is type in the word IE, then sports, then radio in the search bar, like us, and then that's how you're able to follow us on Facebook. And we also have a website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our Hall of Fame, our Fans of the Month, pages dedicated to each podcast, our community forum, and our merchandise shop. For the last 9 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, which is what I did yesterday, coaches, and other authorized media personnel, to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout to our sponsors. Yes, we have more than one sponsor. The first one is Plant Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Plant Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, the single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, it's low in sugar, and high in protein. This is some of the best jerky you can get your hands on, and all you have to do is visit www.plantjerky.net and place your order. In addition, for a limited time only, prices are slashed on the Plant Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky website. And if you buy $50 or more, you will get the order shipped for free. Once again, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Plant Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Our second sponsor is Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch. Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. If that's the case, then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts is just for you. You bring the deal, and we'll bring the seal. A huge shout out to Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. the second sponsor for IE Sports Radio. And the way you can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at SoCal Show IESR. And you can follow me, Teran Rodriguez, on X as well, at Teran Rodriguez 1. And without any further delay, let us begin. So we got to start with the Chargers first, because I feel like this is kind of an ongoing theme. Days of Our Chargers. I hope I don't get copyright for that. As Ralph Calise, Jen B, and Mike Pat are all in the chat room, they say have a great show. Thank you. Alright, so the Chargers yesterday, it was Wednesday, they actually hired Chad Alexander, the Jets' director of personnel, as he's taking a promotion to be the assistant general manager, as Joe Ortiz was just introduced as the general manager for the Chargers, which is good. In addition, Chad Alexander being hired as assistant director, Corey Krajek is the director of player personnel strategy for the Chargers, as he was just recently hired and officially hired yesterday. And then this news popped up on my feed just a little while ago, as the Chargers are targeting former Niners All-Pro linebacker Navarro Bowman to be their new linebackers coach, bringing him back together with Jim Harbaugh, which Jim Harbaugh did coach the Niners back when Bowman was a Niner. And its two sides are probably going to have to come to an agreement, but the belief is if it gets done, Bowman, who helped the Niners dominate under Harbaugh defensively, spent last season as a defensive analyst at Maryland. So at least he has he has that sort of experience. Also, the Chargers just recently hired Jesse Minter, I want to say, as their defensive coordinator, which he was the defensive coordinator at Michigan last season. So the Chargers are really starting to structure their lineup great. And they also hired Marcus Brady as their game day decisioner or something of that sort. And they also hired Greg Roman as their offensive coordinator, as he was the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Buffalo Bills, and the San Francisco 49ers back when Jim Harbaugh was at San Francisco. He was also the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Well, he was the offensive line assistant for the Ravens back in 2006 and 2007, and he was the associate head coach for Stanford back in 2009 and 2010, back when they actually were decent. So, getting Greg Roman is good, and hopefully he's a massive upgrade from Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore was at least an upgrade from Joe Lombardi, but he just didn't fit the bill. So, the Chargers are really starting to shape up their roster very well. So, Marcus Brady is the passing game coordinator. So, I said game day coordinator, but passing game coordinator. So, that's good. So, a little about Marcus Brady. No, he's not related to Tom Brady. Back when he was with the Colts back in 2021, the Colts were second in rushing yards per game, and they were second in rush yards per carry. And in addition, he's a 3-time CFL Grey Cup champion. So, that's pretty good to have on your resume. He was also the Philadelphia Eagles senior offensive assistant back in 2023, and he was the offensive consultant in 2022. Then for the Colts, he was the offensive coordinator back in 2021 and 2022. He was the quarterbacks coach back in 2019 and 20, and he was the assistant quarterbacks coach in 2018. And he also coached he was the coordinator for the Toronto Argonauts back in 2013 all the way through 17 as the offensive coordinator. And then he was the offensive coordinator in 2012 for the Montreal Alouettes. Montreal Alouettes. He was the wide receivers coach for the Alouettes back in 2009 all the way to 2011. So there you have it right there in regards to the Chargers' new hires. And Chad Alexander, his little timeline regarding to his past is he was the director of player personnel for the Jets back in 2019 all the way up until he was hired for the Chargers, and he was the assistant director of pro personnel for the Baltimore Ravens in 2009 all the way to 2019. And he was also their area scout in 2003 all the way to 2009, and the player personnel assistant in 1999 all the way through 2003. So there you have it right there for Chad Alexander. And Corey Kwayek was the player personnel and analytics assistant for the Ravens back in 2017 all the way through 2023. And he was the player evaluation and analytics manager all the way from 2013 all the way through 2017. In addition, he was also a hockey analytics consultant all the way from 2011 all the way through 2013. So that's interesting if you ask me. But hey, it is what it is. And Jesse Minter, was, as I mentioned, he was named the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, having come from Michigan. Michigan's defense last year was the number one total defense, the number one scoring defense, and number 4 in turnovers gained, and they only allowed 247 yards allowed per game, which is pretty good. And as I mentioned, he was the defense coordinator for Michigan last year and the year before. He was the defensive coordinator and safeties coach for Vanderbilt back in 2021. He was the Baltimore Ravens defensive backs coach in 2020, the assistant defensive back coach for the Ravens back in 2019, and the defensive assistant for the Ravens back in 2017 and 18. He was also the defensive coordinator for Georgia State all the way back in 2013 and 16, and he was the defensive coordinator for Indiana State University back in 2011 and 12, and he was the linebackers coach for Indiana State back in 2009 and 2010. So there you have it right there when it comes to Jesse Minter having come from the Chargers, and I feel bad for Michigan, except not really. So there you have it right there, and I think that is it for the Chargers, as all this good news is really good, considering the Chargers have to see, or Chargers fans such as myself, have to see the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl again, and they have to see the Niners back in the Super Bowl. And if you all remember, back in 1999, the Niners whooped the Chargers in their lone Super Bowl appearance, crushing them. I think it was like 49-23, not 46-23. So there you have it right there. It's lose-lose no matter who Chargers fans root for. Probably the worst of two evils is the Niners, but I digress. And that is pretty much it for the Chargers as of this point. Keenan Allen did partake in the Pro Bowl, as he actually threw a touchdown pass and he caught a touchdown pass, but the AFC lost to the NFC 64-59. It was a flag football game, but still, him throwing a passing touchdown kind of reminded me of the passing touchdown he threw for the Chargers in the game against the Vikings, which was their first win of the season. So, yeah, glad to see Keenan Allen was named a Pro Bowl. He was named to the Pro Bowl, just because I think it was an alternate anyway. I think it was an alternate, I'm not sure, but it's great to see him as a Pro Bowler just because the dude has earned it. And and this is actually a perfect segue to go into the next thing about Keenan Allen. He says he wants to stay here as long as he wants to, and he wants to retire a Charger. Good. Joe Ortiz, keep Keenan Allen for as long as he wants to. The dude is a living legend, and honestly, well, he doesn't have the Super Bowl, or he has the numbers, and he's definitely been a bright spot. It seems like he seems to age well like fine wine. I mean, last year, considering he missed a big chunk of the season, the fact that he put up those numbers, even when he missed the last few games of the season, I think it's still pretty phenomenal if you ask me. So hopefully Keenan Allen can stay a Charger as long as he can. So that's that for the Chargers right there. So nothing really too much about the Rams. I did see on Rams Twitter via my boy AC.GDB that the Rams tapes, he quote tweeted that Kevin Dotson is a huge priority for the Rams this offseason. So this is courtesy of Rams tapes. Yes, Rams tapes, not Rams takes. So Kevin Dotson obviously would be great to keep on the Rams, and honestly, I hope he's an offensive lineman, and he's only 27 years old, and he wears 69. Nice. I had to throw that out there, but he's only 27, and he is an offensive lineman, and I hope the Rams can keep him. His contract was a 4-year, $3.9 million contract. So, for the Rams, they need all the offensive line help they can get. And I would not be surprised if they went offensive line in the draft. And we're not going to spend too much time on the Rams, because I already talked about who the Rams should take in the draft last week. Whether it's cornerback or offensive line or anything of that sort. I think they're good in every other aspect outside of like maybe an edge rusher, but I think cornerback or offensive lineman would be sufficeable for the Rams. So, not too much to talk about for the Rams. So, I actually got a little bit of inspiration from Ralph Calise in his show, The Ins Report, which airs every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern. So, he talked about some of the Steelers' best Super Bowl moments, as the Steelers have a rich tradition for winning the Super Bowl. So, I would like to talk about the Rams winning the Super Bowl and what it felt like for me. So, for me, I was rooting for the Rams regardless, just because the Chargers failed to freaking make the playoffs. So, me as a Chargers fan had to root for the Rams. I know it's a sin, but it's either root for the Rams or just don't care about football or just watch the demise of, like, Mahomes and whatnot. So, in the Super Bowl, it was the Bengals versus the Rams, and for me, I was either root for Joe Burrow and have all the Joe Burrow fanboys come out of the woodwork and say, oh, he got a ring sooner than Justin Herbert, har, har, har. Yeah, no. So I rooted for the Rams, obviously, just because why not see Matthew Stafford win a ring? Why not see Aaron Donald finally win a ring? Or Odell Beckham Jr. or Cooper Kupp? Why not see those guys win a ring? So, obviously, some of my favorite memory moments from that game, and it was probably the most up and down game ever. Obviously, it went down to the wire. It was decided in the fourth quarter, and that's what I like about the Super Bowl. Like, if it's decided in the fourth quarter, and it's basically a slugfest between two talented teams, I think it's definitely Super Bowl I would remember. And honestly, and also Von Miller got to win another ring. He won one with Denver, but now he got to win one as a Ram. So he got to win another ring, and for me, I will say it was just a phenomenal, great feeling if you're a Rams fan. My brother, who's a major Rams fan, was just doing cartwheels after the Rams won the Super Bowl. It was just phenomenal, and I was so happy for him. And honestly, very happy for Matthew Stafford. And it just goes to show that the Rams did, they didn't win. Obviously they won the Lions, the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade. But I think the Lions benefited from that trade as well. But for the Rams, winning the Super Bowl is obviously the big goal. And honestly, I was very ecstatic for them. It gives me some hope that the Chargers can maybe do that sort of thing, but it's a whole time will tell process. But obviously, seeing the likes of like Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford win a ring, and I guess Cam Akers and Aaron Donald, Jordan Fuller, Von Miller, they didn't sign Bobby Wagner until the following year. So, all in all, for the Rams winning that Super Bowl a couple seasons ago, it was absolutely amazing. And honestly, that was a very fond memory from SoCal. And I think I asked this question on X, formerly known as Twitter, last year. Where were you when you saw the Rams win the Super Bowl? And I got some good responses. One being from Angela, where she was basically screaming FLA. But I love Angela. I can't bash her. And then AC to GDB said I was not watching the Super Bowl and he was hiding because he was bad luck. Well, I'm at least happy he got to witness the Rams win a ring, even though he didn't watch the game. But I was very happy. I'm mainly happy for him. And I guess I should also give a quick shout out to the IE Sports Radio Fan of the Month. as I want to get this guy's name right so I don't blank on it. But the IE Sports Radio Fan of the Month was at Built for LA. So I don't know his real name, but at Built for LA is his Twitter name or X name. And he's been a diehard LA sports fan since 2022. He's loved the Rams, and he's a LA Kings fan. He's also a Dodgers fan. I want to say he might be a Lakers fan, but yeah, it looks like, according to one of his pictures, he has a picture of the Kings, Kobe Bryant, Matthew Stafford, and I think someone from the Dodgers, maybe Mookie Betts. So a huge shout to the IE Sports Radio Fan of the Month, Built for LA, and hopefully, and like I told him, he represents the Rams fan base really well, so I'm happy for him. But something else, before I wrap up on the Rams, I do actually want to discuss something that I actually saw saw something really interesting on in a Rams email that I guess I'm part of an email list. So ever since the Rams returned to LA, they've had this interesting pattern. 2016, they missed the playoffs. 2017, the Rams made the playoffs. 2018, the Rams won the Super Bowl. 2019, the Rams missed the playoffs. 2020, the Rams made the playoffs. 2021, the Rams made the Super Bowl. 2022, the Rams missed the playoffs. 2023, this past season, they made the playoffs. 2024, if the pattern stays true, we could be seeing the Rams back in the Super Bowl. And I was like, oh my God. And keep in mind, this was back when they returned to LA, not when they were still in St. Louis. So I'm interested to say the least when it comes to the Rams. So there you have it right there. And one last thing is, I do feel bad that Puka Nacua did not win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But if you saw my post on X, formerly known as Twitter, I basically had a feeling that C.J. Stroud was going to win it, just because, well, this kind of reminded me of the 2020-2021 awards, NFL awards, where Justin Herbert won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and some people thought that Justin Jefferson got snubbed just because the whole quarterback versus wide receiver thing. I mean, I will say C.J. Stroud did shatter a lot of records. He led the Houston Texans to the playoffs, and he also led the Texans to a playoff win under a rookie head coach, DeMeco Ryans, whereas Justin Herbert shattered lots of records his rookie year. But I will also say that Puka Nacua, in his defense, he was chosen in the 5th round. So the fact that he was chosen that low, he was passed up by so many teams all the way down into the 5th round, the Rams developed him into a star player. And he shattered the receiving yards record. So Puka Nacua deserves some sort of credit. And I hope it's fuel for the fire when it comes to him not winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. So there you have it right there for the Rams in that regard. And that's going to pretty much do it for the NFL in general. I'm not going to talk about the Super Bowl just because, well, for starters, there's no SoCal team in it. Maybe next year, though. So my hope is, I'm knocking on wood, but I digress. All right, so that's that for NFL. Let's discuss a little college football as, well, this news popped up about an hour before I went live with SoCal. So Chip Kelly, everyone's favorite Pillsbury Doughboy, I'm just kidding. He's the UCLA head coach. It's just that someone referenced him as the walking Pillsbury Doughboy, Chip Kelly. But Chip Kelly, the UCLA football coach, might be on his way out, and is most likely on his way out, as he might be heading to Columbus to coach, or to be the offensive coordinator for the Ohio State football team. Now, I don't know why this happened. I don't know why he wants to leave for a coordinator job, but I don't know. Maybe UCLA just doesn't pay as much as an offensive coordinator job at Ohio State, but it just strikes me so weird. I will say this, Chip Kelly is an upgrade over Bill O'Brien, a.k.a. the Butt Chin, as that dude is basically going to be the head coach at Boston College, which I guess is cool. But you saw the Ohio State offense. They were just so anemic against certain opponents, and they just did not have that flair to them. So Chip Kelly going to become the offense coordinator for Ohio State. I guess that's good for him, and I wish him the best. But now this means UCLA is going to have another overhaul for head coaches, and that could open up the transfer portal for UCLA players, and it could force players to decommit from their said commitment to UCLA. And if that's the case, then that's tough tamale for UCLA, and that's just tough right there. But if Chip Kelly has a change of heart and he doesn't want to leave for Ohio State, then so be it. But yeah, Chip Kelly is going to be hiring. Chip Kelly is going to be hired at Ohio State, and excuse me, a little hiccup, but Chip Kelly is going to be hired at Ohio State, and now UCLA is back on the prowl for possibly, hence the word possibly, needing a new head coach again. Well, I mean, Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel are available at UCLA, so maybe you can get one of those. Food for thought. Just make sure you don't get Brandon Staley. If you get Brandon Staley, you deserve to be irrelevant from now until the end of time. You just can't have Brandon Staley. You just can't. Just please don't. Please. Please. But UCLA has lost a lot of coaches. They lost their defensive coordinator to USC. They lost Chip Kelly to Ohio State as he's going to be the offensive coordinator. So UCLA, and they lost a good portion of players to probably the NFL or maybe the transfer portal. So, yeah, I feel that UCLA might be a little bit down next season. Maybe they might be scheduling more FCS opponents like they did this past season, as they broke the mold when it came to that. So now only 2 teams have not scheduled FCS opponents remain in FBS history. USC, fight on, and Notre Dame. Alright, but that's kind of that for UCLA football right there. That's pretty much that for college football in general. One more quick tidbit for Cal Poly. I do want to, now that I talked about the FCS, Cal Poly actually had their second straight top 5 recruiting class in FCS for the second straight year. So, yeah, Cal Poly's been getting some studs. They got a player that I know, Josiah Lamarque, who is a phenomenal wide receiver. And they also had, I think, Jake Jaworski just signed and committed to Cal Poly. It's either him or Weston Port. It's one of the two from San Juan Hills, but both of them are high-quality players. The other one committed to UCLA, and yeah, Jake Jaworski did commit to Cal Poly, while Weston Port committed to UCLA. But Weston Port committing to UCLA is no real surprise. He's been in love with either Michigan or UCLA since the day he's been playing football, or he was a high-quality player. And Jaworski is going to love Cal Poly, and Port is going to love UCLA, but I'm not sure what could happen. But I don't think Chip Kelly will sway him into departing from UCLA, especially with Chip Kelly going to Ohio State, but time will tell. As I welcome Patty B in the chat room, she says, here at work, Teran, still fighting a cold, but we'll be listening in. Have a great show. Thank you, Patty, and hope you feel better. And Jen B says she saw the report that Ohio State is hiring Chip Kelly. Yeah, I did see that, and it's going to be interesting, to say the least, when it comes to the UCLA Bruins. So there's that right there for college football. All right, let's jump on into a little bit of college basketball. I'll save the NBA for a little bit. But actually, before I go on into college basketball, I do want to break this little bit of tidbit news. Long Beach State's women's volleyball coach, Tyler Hildebrand, is actually taking an assistant coach job at USC. So he's no longer going to be the head coach at Long Beach State. He's going to be heading to USC. So that's a little interesting, to say the least. I'm not going to give my full weigh-in on this, but he goes from Long Beach State, his alma mater, to USC, which, I mean, USC is good, and I kind of get the reason why. I'll speak more on this when I do set point on Monday, but he does get reunited with Ali Batenhorst, a former player at Nebraska who transferred to USC. And Hildebrand was actually the assistant coach for Nebraska back when Batenhorst was a player at Nebraska. So it kind of makes sense, but I'll be discussing a little bit more on that when I do set point, or a whole lot more on that when I do set point. But Long Beach State now has a void in their head coaching position as Natalie Reagan is now their interim coach, and she could be the interim coach for the 2024 season, but time will tell. I mean, maybe they'll get someone sooner rather than later. They're just not going to get Bill Belichick or Mike Vrabel. Okay, that was a bad joke, but I digress. All right, but that's that for that quick little tidbit of volleyball news. Also, one more bit of volleyball news before I officially move on to NCAA men's basketball. I actually did an interview with UCLA men's volleyball player Alex Knight yesterday, and it's posted on the IE Sports Radio YouTube page, so definitely check it out. Alex Knight was actually named the most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament, or National Collegiate Men's Volleyball Tournament from last year, and I think it was a great interview. I only got him for like 15 minutes, which does not include the introduction and the whole theme music, but 15 minutes was a great 15 minutes, and he provided some good insight, and we had fun doing this. So definitely check out the Alex Knight interview, and hopefully we can blow it up. All right, but that's that for Long Beach State, and it's in that women's volleyball news and volleyball news in general. So now we jump to NCAA men's basketball. So, well, I'm just going to say this for USC. This is becoming more agonizing watching them by the day. At least for UCLA, they're turning the corner. But for USC, Isaiah Collier came back, and it still wasn't enough. They lost to freaking Cal this past Wednesday, 83-77. And that's the bad news. The good news is, last Saturday, they beat Oregon State 82-54. That's the team that they could at least beat. But USC, outside of Oregon State, they just can't beat anybody, as Oregon State and USC are both tied for last in the Pac-12 conference. And this is concerning for USC, because if USC is going to be the doormat of the Pac-12, well, they could possibly be the doormat of the Big Ten come next season, and that's going to be scary and very concerning for the Trojans. So USC is back in action tomorrow when they take on Stanford at probably Maples Pavilion. I'm pretty sure it's going to be at Maples Pavilion just because their men's volleyball team is out in Hawaii and they're not going to come back till like late. Then next Thursday they have an 8 p.m. start against Utah. Oh gosh, at least it's going to be at home, but 8 p.m. start? Oof. And then next Saturday, USC hosts Colorado on ESPN. They might want to flex that game out just because that might be the most undeserving ESPN game out there. But in the defense of ESPN, everyone thought that USC was going to be so good. They had one of the top recruiting classes. They had the number one recruit in the nation. They had Bronny gosh dang James, and they've just underachieved. They're 9-4, and they're 3-9 in the Pac-12. They're dead last in the conference with Oregon State. Just horrible. The good news is that UCLA actually is really good, or they're starting to become better. Remember how UCLA got drubbed by Utah and lost? They got doubled up. They lost by 46. Well, they're actually starting to turn quite the corner, if you ask me. So, ever since they lost to Utah, they've won 2 carry the 3 -4, 6 of their last 7 games. And last Saturday, they probably earned a marquee win, beating Oregon 71-63 at Pauley Pavilion. In addition, they backed up that Oregon win with a solid 82-74 win over Stanford. So, if you're keeping track of UCLA, they're actually second in the Pac-12. Oh, I'm sorry, they're not second. They're tied for third in the Pac-12 with Colorado, but they're only 2 games back of Arizona. So, if UCLA keeps playing their cards right, they could, hence the word could, be in a top 4 seed for the Pac-12 tournament. And if they get that top 4 seed, they get a bye up until the quarterfinals. And that is huge right there. Because remember when UCLA was pretty much on the verge of pretty much being dead? They lost to freaking CSUN. They also lost to Villanova and Ohio State, both of which are pretty good. They also lost to Maryland at home. They got freaking stomped on by, well, they didn't get stomped on by Stanford, but they lost to Stanford and Cal at home. They got curb stomped by freaking Utah. And ever since that, they've won 6 of their last 7, and they're looking so much more impressive. And they could, hence the word could, make the NCAA tournament. The only problem is that, is it too little too late for them? Because they had so many bad They have so many bad losses. They lost to Cal. They lost to CSUN. Obviously, UCLA wasn't at full strength, but there's no excuse for that. They also lost to a mid-tier Maryland team. No offense to any Maryland fans out there. They also barely beat UC Riverside. They needed a go-ahead basket with like 3 seconds left to beat Riverside. And while they almost beat Gonzaga and they almost beat Marquette, it still isn't satisfying anybody. And I just fear that UCLA might be on the outside looking in. Unless they start going on a run and they beat the likes of Arizona, or they probably win the Pac-12 tournament. But probably the NIT might be the future for them. Unless, of course, they just run the table and they even beat Arizona, or they just win the Pac-12 tournament entirely. We'll see what happens. But Larry B pops in the chat room. He says, late but here. Thanks, Larry. All right, but that is that for USC and UCLA. I really don't want to talk about San Diego and LMU and Pepperdine. I will say this for San Diego. They're at least moving on up. They're at the middle of the pack of the West Coast Conference. That's good. The bad news is LMU and Pepperdine still stink. But that's besides the point. The point is that San Diego actually beat LMU on Wednesday, 79-77, and they also beat Santa Clara last Saturday, 70-59. So 2 in a row for San Diego, not bad. And at least they beat somebody outside of of Southern California. So San Diego gets lowly Pacific this Saturday at the Alex Spanos Center. Yes, Pacific's gymnasium is called the Alex Spanos Center, named after the late Alex Spanos. And then next Thursday, they are back home against Portland, which should be some fun times. So at least San Diego's men's basketball team is showing chops. LMU, I can't really say they're showing chops. Like I said, they lost to San Diego this past Tuesday. And then Tuesday, the 30th, they got whomped by Gonzaga. They haven't really been the same ever since their Portland win, as they've lost 3 in a row. So, yeah. But they do have a kind of a gimme matchup here. They play in the PCH Cup matchup against Pepperdine this Saturday. That's a perfect segue to go to the Waves, who have looked anything but spectacular. They did have a couple close losses in their past 2 matches, as they lost to San Francisco 80-74, and they lost to Portland this past Saturday 93-89. So the Waves have lost 4 in a row ever since they beat. Or actually, no, they have lost 7 in a row. Oh, gosh. What a bad time to be a Pepperdine fan. They're actually 6 in a row. Sorry, I was never the strongest at math. I suck at math. Math is kind of difficult for me, but I digress. Their last win came against San Diego, which, yeah, that kind of shows how terrible the West Coast Conference is when it comes to those SoCal schools like San Diego and Pepperdine and LMU. But just end the season, please. At least have San Diego get to the semifinals of the West Coast Conference tournament. That would be pretty fun to see. All right, but enough about that. Let's talk about some happier news in NCAA men's basketball. So the Big West. Excuse me for one quick second. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of a sneeze. All right, but Big West men's basketball. UC Irvine is all alone in first place. Woohoo! As they are 11-10 after just stomping all over UC Santa Barbara last night, 76-61. And they also scorched Hawaii on Saturday. That was kind of mean for saying that. I'm sorry, Hawaii fans. I didn't mean to say it like that, but they beat Hawaii. They beat Hawaii 93-68. I didn't mean to use that joke like that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say it like that. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Hawaii. Please forgive me. But UC Irvine beat Hawaii last Saturday 93-68. I was very surprised that they won big time, but it was at the Bren Event Center, so the Anteaters defended the Bren. And they have been on a tear as of late, as they've won 5 in a row ever since losing that heartbreaker to UC Davis. Davis is right on their coattails in the Big West Conference standings, as they're 1 game back. UC San Diego is third, being 2 games back of UC Irvine. Long Beach State is fourth, being 6-5 and 4.5 games back of the Anteaters. And then you got UC Santa Barbara and CSUN tied for 5th. You have Cal State Fullerton at 4-7. Bakersfield is 4-8. UC Riverside is 4-8. And then Cal Poly still has yet to register a conference win. Poor Cal Poly. So that is kind of that for UC, for all the Big West Conference SoCal teams. I'm not surprised to see UC Irvine in first place, just because Russell Turner does such a great job with his team. Yes, he likes to see USC lose in certain sports, but the dude does a good job. You got to respect Russell Turner. Yes, some people hate him for his arrogance and his questionable comments in the past, but the dude knows how to coach. Take note, Andy Enfield. Anyway, so Port UC San Diego, they have not had it easy, because last Saturday they actually lost to Long Beach State at Long Beach State, 85-76, and then they lost in overtime yesterday to Hawaii, 94-86. But something you got to remember is that UC San Diego isn't even eligible for the Big West Conference tournament and the NCAA tournament this season. I think next season they officially shed the whole Division II to Division I label, and then they'll be able to be eligible for the Big West Conference tournament and the NCAA tournament, should they make it. But at least UC San Diego is putting on a show this season, like 9-3, and they're 15-9. It's pretty good. They only have 1 home loss, which is actually pretty solid if you ask me. I wouldn't be surprised if that home loss was to a Big West Conference foe, and it isn't. They lost to San Diego State. They lost by 1 to San Diego State, which is not bad. And it's actually a perfect segue to go into San Diego State, as this past Tuesday they beat Air Force 77-64, which is a pretty good win if you ask me. Air Force is a solid. Oh wait, no, I'm not. No, it's not. I was gonna say Air Force is a solid team, but Air Force stinks in men's basketball. But last Saturday was truly the creme de la creme for San Diego State, as they beat number 17 Utah State 81-67. That is the San Diego State I was hoping to see, as San Diego State is now ranked 24th in the AP poll, which is great. As tonight they hit the road to Nevada to take on Nevada, as both teams are 18-5, which is huge. And believe it or not, San Diego State is tied for first in the Mountain West Conference. Nevada is 5-4, but they're only 1.5 games back of the Aztecs, as well as Utah State, New Mexico, and Boise State. So that Mountain West Conference race is getting so tight and so intense. So the margin of error for the Aztecs is slim to none. And then Tuesday, San Diego State is back home at the I think it's pronounced the Viejas Arena. I can't remember their names. It's either Viejas or Viejas Arena, when they host Colorado State. And then next Friday, they host number 25 New Mexico State. And yeah, the gauntlet has officially begun, as it starts tonight when they play Nevada, and then they play Colorado State this upcoming Tuesday. Next Friday, they're home against New Mexico. And then the 20th of February, they hit the road to take on Utah State. And that's going to be huge right there for the Aztecs. Those 4 matches are so huge. That could be the difference between winning the regular season conference title and / being the 1 seed, and possibly being the 5 seed. But time will tell when it comes to San Diego State men's basketball. I still think they could make the NCAA tournament. Yes, they do have some iffy wins and losses, but I think they deserve to be in the tournament. They're probably one of the better non-Power 5 conferences that's not named UConn or a team from the Big East. Because that's Power 6 right there. But, yeah. There you have it right there. That's my little take on San Diego State men's basketball. And then lastly, we got CBU men's basketball to go over, as they're not as good as the women, but I will also say they're certainly not that bad, as CBU men's basketball pulled off a split in their last 2 games, as yesterday they edged UT Arlington 64-63, which is good because last Saturday they got edged by Seattle at home 61-60. And if I recall correctly, I think this weekend is their homecoming. I think it's this weekend that CBU has their homecoming again. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This weekend is not their homecoming. I think the women's game is the homecoming game, but I digress. But this Saturday, CBU hits the road to take on Utah Tech, and then Thursday they return home to take on Utah Valley. And looking at CBU in the standings, they're actually all alone in third place by half a game. They're 3.5 back of GCU in the WAC, which is bad, but what can you do? GCU, I think they're having a historic season. They did beat San Diego State, which was their first ever ranked win, so you have that to contend with there. All right, well, that's that for NCAA men's basketball. Jumping over to NCAA women's basketball. All right, USC. Oh my goodness. Last Friday was a legendary game for USC women's basketball. They managed to beat Stanford, but it wasn't how they won. It was who they won with. Juju Watkins had a phenomenal game. She had 51 points. 51. She had over half of USC's points, which is straight up bonkers. She made 17 free throws, and she made 14 field goals, 14 for 26 from the field, but she just took over. She also had 11 rebounds, and she made 6 threes. She had all but 2 3-pointers from USC. The only other double-digit player from USC was Mackenzie Forbes, who had 12 points. Yeah, only 4 players on USC made their way into the scorebook in terms of points. I don't know if that was the plan to just give Juju Watkins the ball, but Stanford, I guess, had no answer for her. Not even Cameron Brink can shut her down, which I think is pretty good right there. And USC followed up that road win against Stanford with another solid win, beating Cal 79-69. Nice. I'm just kidding. But for USC, there's still plenty back in terms of the Pac-12 conference, as they're 2.5 games back of first place, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. So there you have it right there. As for UCLA had a little bit of a bleh week. So last Friday, they took down Cal with the greatest of ease, 78-58. So that's good news. The bad news is they got whooped by Stanford at Maples Pavilion, 80-60. So, yeah, that was ugly. So that was obviously the bad news. So the even worse news is that Izzy Anstey, one of the top players who I think is from Australia, she actually basically posted on her Instagram that she is quitting the team and saying goodbye to UCLA women's basketball. Now, she's obviously going to continue to support the UCLA women's basketball team, but she's not going to be playing anymore, as I actually do want to read the statement from Corey Close. But basically her departing from UCLA, it sucks. But she's been through a lot. She had to go through injuries. She had to go through possibly not being able to enroll at UCLA. So obviously it sucks. And it is what it is, unfortunately, and I feel bad for her, but sometimes that's just how sports is, and it's so tough to be a student athlete. I don't know from experience, but honestly, it's so much work having to balance athletics and studies in. That's why the student comes before the athlete. So there you have it right there in regards to UCLA women's hoops, and they fell further down the standings, not standings in the Pac-12, but they fell further down in terms of the AP poll. They're actually 10th in the AP poll, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is, and it just sucks. It's tough for UCLA. It's tough times for UCLA because they're just not at full strength. And I really wish they would be at full strength, because when they're at full strength, they are just a powerhouse to deal with. But when they're not at full strength, then they're a little, what's the word? They're vulnerable, to say the least. But I will say, UCLA will survive. I think they can definitely keep it. They'll definitely be able to make the NCAA tournament. The only way they don't make the NCAA tournament is if they decline a spot in the tournament. So I swear, I really wish I could see Corey Close's statement regarding their player departing, the Izzy departing, which I know it sucks, but honestly, she's behind Izzy when it comes to her departure from the UCLA women's basketball from the women's basketball team. But we'll see what happens for the Bruins. I just wish, I don't get to see her statement. Gosh darn it, UCLA women's basketball. Oh, I spelled statement wrong. But yeah, that's going to do it for Corey Close. Okay, here it is. Here's her statement, courtesy of Haley Sawyer, who works for the LA Daily News. She says, Izzy has persevered through so much, not being allowed to come into the country during the pandemic, 3 surgeries, and so much more. Through it all, she has always found ways to encourage and add to our team. On top of that, she has poured into her education, her art, and all of the unique attractions of Los Angeles. Basketball has not been what she or we hoped, and of no fault of her own. But she has optimized being more than a basketball player and being an elite teammate at the same time. She has handled this well, and I am totally supportive of her decision. I'm glad we have more time with her before graduation, and she will be fully involved with the team every step of the way. We love and appreciate Izzy so much. The Michael Price family, UCLA women's head basketball coach, Corey Close. So that's a great message, and I really want to basically I wanted to say that just because I did see it, and I'm like, aw, that's very sweet. And I'm glad the coach is behind her, just because, as Marshawn Lynch once said, you gotta take care of y'all bodies, take care of y'all chickens, take care of y'all mentals, take care of y'all bread, because if you don't take care of y'all mentals, you can't take care of your body. And if you don't take care of your body, you ain't gonna take care of your bread. You ain't gonna take care of everything that you have, and it's not gonna basically be of any use, and it's gonna disappear just like that. So that's why Marshawn Lynch said to take care of y'all mentals and chickens and bodies. All right, but that's that for UCLA and USC in terms of women's basketball. I am rambling on too much, and that is no bueno. All right, so USC and UCLA both play the Arizona schools. USC hosts Arizona State tonight, and they also host Arizona Sunday. And then it's vice versa for UCLA. So there's that right there. Jumping over to the Big West. So the Big West Conference in women's basketball stands as follows. Hawaii is in first place, which makes me unhappy. UC Irvine is in second place at 9-3. They're one game back of Hawaii. UC Santa Barbara and Cal Poly, and I guess along with UC Davis, are knotted up for third place. UC Riverside is in sixth place. Then UC San Diego at 6-6. Cal State Fullerton 3-8. Long Beach State 3-8. Cal State Bakersfield 3-9. And poor CSUN, they are 0-12, and they're also 2-20. Ouch! Poor CSUN. I feel bad for them. I really hope they can win a Big West Conference game. Their only wins of the season, yikes, even Hope International beat them. But CSUN has seen better days in women's basketball, as their only wins on the season are not even as follows. They beat Utah State in the start of the season, and they also beat Seattle U. But ever since they won their first two games, they've lost 20 in a row. Oh, God. That's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking for CSUN. I hope it sucks that they're not as good as the men's, but then again, it's tough to replicate success. Anyway, so jumping over to the West Coast Conference regarding LMU, Pepperdine, and San Diego. The good news is for San Diego is that they are no longer winless, and their first conference win, well, they're no longer winless in conference play. They actually registered their first win in conference play last Saturday as they beat San Francisco at home. Now that's what I call never backing down, never what. But they followed that up by losing to Santa Clara 83-57. Now, I'm sorry I had to bring that up, but it is what it is. And Pepperdine isn't too far from San Diego, as they have lost 9 in a row. I want to say maybe their last win was against San Diego, and it was, which was on the 4th. They haven't won a game in a month. I feel bad for Pepperdine. I'm sorry. Anyway, so LMU, their last two games featured them losing to Portland yesterday, 58-52. And then last Thursday, they got stomped on by Santa Clara, 63-49. As LMU is actually the best team of the three at 9-13, and they have the better conference record. At least they have a better conference record than St. Mary's, but I'm just saying. It's a nightmare when it comes to the West Coast Conference if you're a Southern California basketball fan. It is a nightmare. It's just hideous, dude. It makes you want to just crawl into a corner. And I feel bad for them. But I digress. So San Diego State, their most recent game, they managed to beat New Mexico 60-53, which is solid. Unfortunately, last Saturday, they had such a dud of a game, losing to Colorado State 82-50. Ouch. Imagine going on the road and getting stomped on by that much. I feel bad for the Lady Aztecs. And Colorado State's not even that much better than them. They have the same conference record, and they have the same number of wins. But unfortunately, that's just how it is for the Aztecs. But not every team can be CBU, which is perfect segue to go into the Lady Lancers. So the Lady Lancers last Saturday, they took down Seattle 86-77. That's kind of close for facing a one-win team. I don't know, maybe CBU just rested a majority of their starters, but that is the nature of the WAC in women's basketball. And speaking of close games, CBU edged out UT Arlington on the road yesterday, winning 94-92. But again, nature of the WAC when it comes to women's basketball, which is good. I'm glad they were able to pull out the win. At least they didn't lose to the likes of, Abilene Christian, but I digress. So, I want to say this game is going to be the homecoming game at CBU. CBU's women's basketball team plays Utah Tech at 1 p.m. I'm not entirely sure if that is the homecoming game, just because most often than not, homecoming is a men's basketball game. Sexists. But CBU women's basketball hosts Utah Tech this Saturday. It's going to be on ESPN+. And then next Thursday, CBU heads down to Utah to take on Utah Valley. And then we get the big game between GCU and CBU. Next Saturday, CBU will be hosting Grand Canyon. And that's going to be a barn burner right there. Because looking at the standings, CBU is a half a game back of GCU in that WAC conference, or the Western Athletic Conference. And I can already tell the GCU matchup is going to be a barn burner for CBU. And you want to know what's even better? CBU actually plays Grand Canyon in the last game of the regular season before the WAC tournament and then possibly the NCAA tournament. But CBU is going to have their work cut out for them when they play GCU. But I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a fun game, and Lance up, ladies and gentlemen. So hopefully those Lady Lancers or the CBU women's basketball team are able to get the job done against GCU. But that is going to do it for the first half of the show. Or 2/3 of the show. When we come back, we'll have the last third of the show, along with Dum Dum of the Week. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back with the second half or the last leg of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, as the Sports Couple Perspective with Larry B and Cecilia B is going to be coming on later today at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. But on that note, let's get back on into the second half or last leg of our show, and then I'll let you all go because my stomach's starting to hurt a little. I shouldn't have had a lot to eat beforehand. All right, but let's jump on into the NBA. So before I get on into the Lakers, I actually do want to talk about the Clippers. So over the week, the Clippers actually saw themselves in a position that they haven't really been in a whole lot, if not at all. They were in first place in the Western Conference. Woohoo! So on Wednesday, they took down the Washington Lizards. Yes, I called them the Lizards, as they beat them 125-109, which was good. And then last Friday, they took down the Pistons 136-125. And then Sunday, they eclipsed the Heat 103-95. And then Monday, they grounded the Hawks 149-144. So Clippers sure know how to either play really good defense or they have to score the ball a lot. So after that win over the Hawks, the Clippers actually found themselves in first place, which was awesome. And then Thursday came along where they lost to the Pelicans 117-106. It was to the point where one of the Pelicans, I think their color commentary guy, he told some dude on Twitter, now known as X, named @RetroPels, to play that anthem. Yeah, way to plug him, Pelicans color commentary guy. But the Clippers losing did knock them out of first place in the Western Conference, which makes me sad a little, as now they're in fourth place. But they're only one game back of Denver and Minnesota, as Denver actually picked up a win last night, which I'll be getting into a little bit. But for the Clippers, it pains me to see them getting so close to that top seed, but then they have one loss, which knocks them down a peg. But the Clippers are getting there, so they just got to play their cards right, as Saturday they host the Detroit Pistons. Monday they also host the Minnesota Timberwolves, which is a big test for them. And then Wednesday on ESPN, they will hit the road to Oakland to take on the Golden State Warriors. And then they have the NBA All-Star Week, and then they'll be back at it on Thursday the 22nd to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Clippers are fourth in the Western Conference, but don't let that fool you, because they're only one game back of Denver and Minnesota. Now for the Lakers. Okay. Lakers, when we last left off, they really impressed me and made me happy last week, as they took down the Boston Celtics last Thursday. And then Saturday, they backed that Celtics win up with a 113-105 win over the Knicks. Now, the Knicks were actually the hotter team going into that game. I think they had won like 7 or 8 in a row, but the Lakers cooled them off big time, and that was partially due to LeBron James coming up big down the stretch, knocking down a fadeaway jumper. And even Jalen Brunson having 36 points didn't even help the Knicks out, as LeBron James led the way with 24 points, but Austin Reeves had 22 points, D'Angelo Russell had 16 points, Anthony Davis had 12 points and 18 boards, as well as 5 assists. So, and Taurean Prince had 16 points, and this guy named Jackson Hayes, he had 10 points. So the Lakers had, if you're keeping score, 6 different players in double digits. That's good. So that's a huge winning on the road against the Knicks. And then Monday, the Lakers took down the Hornets, 124-118. A lot closer than I thought it was going to be, but that was because the Lakers were just playing with their food and not finishing it, which was totally unacceptable. They led by 14 after 3 quarters, and they almost allowed the Hornets to rally back. But lo and behold, the Lakers were able to hold on and get the win over the 10-win Hornets. So the Lakers did play yesterday, and yesterday was actually a special day. as yesterday they actually unveiled the statue for Kobe Bryant. In case you're not picking up what yesterday was, it was February 8th, 2024. So it was 2/8/24. 2 being the number that the late Gigi Bryant wore, 8 and 24 being the numbers that Kobe Bryant wore back when he was with the Lakers, or back in the NBA entirely. But the Lakers did unveil not 1, not 2, but 3 statues of Kobe Bryant, which was outstanding, and man, it was so amazing that they unveiled those statues, and I was so happy that they did that, and to this day, I just miss Kobe to this day, and I'm not trying to get sappy and emotional. I actually did get to, fun fact, I actually did get to see Kobe Bryant in person. Problem was I didn't get a chance to meet him because I want him to watch his daughter play volleyball back when Sage Hill played Newport Harbor in my neck of the woods. But I digress. All right, but going back to the statue unveiling, it was awesome, and I didn't even know it was 3 statues. I thought it was just going to be 1 statue. So good, big ups to whoever made those statues, and it was a great moment, and Mamba out, and hopefully I'll see you soon, Kobe. But as for the game last night between the Nuggets and the Lakers, well, before I get on into that, the Lakers I think they went like 6-2 on their Grammy road trip. Their only 2 losses were against Houston and Atlanta, both of which LeBron and AD weren't either playing or they weren't at 100%. But the Nuggets game. Well, I liked how the Lakers were doing so good on the road. They had a good stretch of wins. They beat the Knicks and the Celtics on the road. I mean, rarely do you see the Celtics lose on the road or lose at home, especially with the season the Celtics are having. But again, the Knicks was such a hot team. And then, obviously, the Hornets win was okay. But the Lakers just did not have that same Mamba mentality, or they didn't have any Mamba mentality for that matter, when they wound up, pooping the bed against the Nuggets. I will give the Lakers the benefit of the doubt. The Lakers did make it close. They were trailing throughout a good portion of the game. They tied it late at 104. But you want to know what happened? The Nuggets went on a 10-0 run and pretty much said GG to the Lakers. And I'm not saying GG. It's good game right there. They said good game, Lakers. Sorry to ruin your statue unveiling night. So, thanks, Lakers. I'm glad you decided to freaking lose against the Nuggets on the statue unveiling of Kobe Bryant. And matter of fact, I actually turned on the explicit tag. So I don't know for those that were listening live earlier, but I actually turned on the explicit tags just because you're going to be seeing a segment coming up. But I'm so pissed that the Lakers lost. It's like if one person on Twitter, I think it was Lakers News, he said, if the Lakers lose on the unveiling of Kobe Bryant's statue, we riot. I really wanted to post like funny memes and whatnot saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up out of your sleep, wake up. But I was just so distraught after seeing the Lakers just losing to the Nuggets. I get it, the Nuggets are good. But this was a special night. They had Anthony frickin' Davis, who had 32 points. They had LeBron James, who had 25. Austin Reeves, even though this dude was turning the ball over several times, he had 15 points and 10 assists. And for some weird reason, they still lost. They allowed 14 threes, and they allowed Denver to shoot 48.5%. Oh, and also Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. went off. Oh, and Nikola Jokic too. Jokic almost floated around and had a triple-double. Same with Murray. I'm so mad. I just can't. I can't do this anymore when it comes to the Lakers. Anyway, Lakers are back in action tonight when they host the New Orleans Pelicans. Oh, that'll be fun. A Pelicans team that's actually doing okay. Well, actually, no, they're more than okay. They're doing really good as the Pelicans are 6th in the Western Conference. And then Tuesday, the Lakers are back in action when they host Detroit. If the Lakers find some reason to lose to the Pistons, I will raise some hell. I ain't lying. And then Wednesday, the Lakers, before the All-Star break, hit the road to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Jazz. And then once they come back from the All-Star break, the Lakers will hit the road to take on the Golden State Warriors. They have some winnable games on the horizon. The Jazz is a winnable game, and the Pistons are a winnable game. The only concern I have is the Pelicans, and this is the second straight of a back-to-back for the Lakers, so I'm not sure what's going to be happening with the Lakers tonight. But all I can tell you is that it's probably not going to be anywhere near good. Alright, but that's going to do it for the NBA portion of the show. The Lakers are currently still sitting in 9th place in the West, which I'd like for the Lakers to actually go up. But time will tell. So as for the Ducks and Kings, they actually just came back from their All-Star break, as the Ducks are back in action tonight when they host the Edmonton Oilers. Then Tuesday, well, they got their Canada road trip, as Tuesday they head on down to Canada, Montreal, to take on the Canadiens. Then Thursday they play at the Ottawa Senators, and then next Saturday they take on the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto, and then Monday the 19th they travel to take on the Buffalo Sabres. And did you know Buffalo is actually closer to Canada than New York City? That's what Patty Bax taught me. Shout out to Patty Bax, by the way. Yeah, I could see why the Ducks would play the Sabres on that Canada road trip, but I digress. So the Ducks are nowhere near a playoff spot, which is kind of expected. Now the Kings, on the other hand, they're at least close to a playoff spot. So Saturday, the Kings host the Edmonton Oilers. Then Tuesday, the Kings hit the road to Buffalo to take on the Sabres. Then Thursday, the Kings will take on the New Jersey Devils on the road, and then next Saturday the Kings will head down to Beantown to take on the Boston Bruins. And then I guess I should mention that next Sunday the Kings will be hitting the road to Yinzertown to take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. So there you have it. It's a nice little 4-game road trip before the 20th, where the Kings host the Columbus Blue Jackets on the 20th. So there you have it right there. So the Kings are in 4th place in the Pacific Division. They're only 3 games ahead of Calgary and 4 points ahead of Seattle. Yeah, Ducks aren't making the playoffs. The Ducks have 38 points. But the Kings really got to be careful here. So they just can't afford too many losses, and Edmonton is going to be such a tough opponent. And guess who's ahead of the Kings in the Pacific Division? Edmonton. So margin of error is very slim. And the Sabres, well, it's a winnable game, but I wouldn't say that it's a walk in the park. Same for the Devils. The Devils are much improved, and the Bruins are the Bruins, even though I have trust issues with them. And the Penguins are obviously the Penguins as well. They're good as well. So the Kings have got such a gauntlet, especially on the road after Saturday, when they take on 4 really talented road opponents. So we'll see what happens with the Kings. But if they keep losing their games, then we might not see them in the postseason. And they are under a new interim coach, so we'll have to see what happens with them following tonight and circling the wagons back to next week. But that's going to do it for the NHL portion of the show. Before we get on out of here, y'all know what time it is. It is that time for Dum Dum of the Week. So Dum Dum of the Week is a segment I like to give, or an award I like to give out to certain people or a certain person that does or says something stupid. Whether it is one person or an entire organization, nobody is safe from Dum Dum of the Week. And I got multiple Dum Dums of the Week to give out. So let's start off with the first one. Don't worry, I'm not Dum Dum of the Week this week. But the first one, okay, I don't know if y'all knew this, but I actually freelance for a company called Sunset Rewind. It covers high school football, and honestly, it's awesome. So this past Sunday, this past Sunday, 2 of my buddies actually got to interview newly hired Raiders GM Tom Telesco, as they talked to him about obviously his son Thomas, who's going to be playing college football. It talked about him making the transition from Southern California to Las Vegas. And Tom Telesco is such a classy dude. Like, he is a Class A guy. And I hate that the Chargers just did him dirty. So, and in addition, they actually brought up some old memories of Tom Telesco, which is pretty funny if you ask me. But I feel for Tom Telesco because there's only one problem with that. Tom Telesco did the interview in a light blue sweater, light blue jacket. So it was basically. So I don't know if you all know this, but the high school that Telesco's kids attend, Corona Del Mar High School, one of their colors is Colombian blue. So it's like a light blue. It's like a baby blue. Now, I'm not going to give Tom Telesco Dum Dum of the Week for wearing a light blue jacket, but oh my god, let me just tell you, that video has actually reached 20,000 views, which is amazing. But no offense to friends of mine that are Raiders fans. I have friends that are Raiders fans, and I love them, but some of you Raiders fans are complete knuckleheads. Almost 90% of the comments in that video are basically saying, why is Telesco doing that interview in a baby blue jacket? Look, I get it, but who cares, dude? Like, we're going to be looking at your comment, or hopefully, for the Raiders' sake, I look at your comment and say, imagine getting so worked up about Tom Telesco wearing a light blue jacket and leading your team to probably a dynasty with Antonio Pierce. I'm sorry, and this is no knock on some Raiders fans, but y'all are fucking stupid sometimes. And don't get me wrong, I have Raiders friends that are Raiders fans, like Larry B. and Cale Henderson. They are real ones. And then Phil Jones and Phil Robinson, they are real ones too. But the commenters that kept on knocking Telesco for wearing a light blue jacket and just making a huge scene of it is just absolute face palming. It's like, who cares what he wears? What are you, his mom? Get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, come on. Like, I get it, y'all are critical, and Raider Nation does not wear blue around here. It's silver and black. But who cares, dude? Did it ever? And it got to the point where one of the interviewers had to comment and say, "Hey, just so y'all know, Raider Nation, he did the interview in light blue because his sons go to his two sons that go to that school. Their school colors are light blue and Colombian blue." So there you have it right there, and I'm just going to say, I feel bad. For starters, Raider Nation, you're the ones that clicked on the video. You're the one that decided to click and comment. So you're the one that is actually boosting the algorithm and boosting the numbers for that video on Sunset Rewind. So your comments are not going to do anything. And I'm going to look back at your comments and laugh at y'all if Tom Telesco turns the Raiders into a dominant powerhouse. Now, the Chargers fan in me obviously hopes that doesn't happen, but the friend of Tom Telesco hopes that happens. So, to Raider Nation, who is just judging Tom Telesco based on his jacket, you're dumbasses. You're straight up dumbasses. You're keyboard warriors, but that's what I could expect from Raider Nation. And Cale Henderson said it best. Most of Raider Nation is dumb. And that's why I gotta give them Dum Dum of the Week.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
I don't even know if they're worthy of the Kawhi Leonard laugh. So, speaking of Los Angeles and the NBA, I gotta give Dum Dum of the Week to the Los Angeles Lakers. Alright, Lakers. I still don't understand how y'all lost. I don't care what it was. You can't lose on Kobe Bryant statue unveiling day. Kobe Bryant is probably cringing up in heaven with his daughter after what we saw. And you mean to tell me y'all decided to lose to the Nuggets? Y'all were in that game, but y'all were making bonehead plays, and y'all just decided to spoon feed the game away to the Denver Nuggets. Don't get me wrong. The Nuggets are a good team, but I basically said if the Lakers lose on the Kobe Bryant statue unveiling night, I'm going to be sick to my stomach. And sure enough, they did. I know they didn't get blown out, but this is sickening, dude. I'm sorry if I'm making too big of a deal of this, but y'all are dumb. And you better turn this stuff around, otherwise I'm going to be so angry that y'all will be getting Dumb of the Week more often than not. So, Lakers losing on Kobe Bryant statue unveiling night deserves Dumb of the Week.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
All right. Let's actually take this a little bit lighter when it comes to Dumb of the Week. So, all right. Now prepare for a little bit of a laugh. All right. So, I don't know who decided to ask this question, but these reporters are complete knuckleheads. They're dumbasses too. So this reporter was at, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but apparently, according to Albert Breer on X, formerly known as Twitter, a German reporter asked Andy Reid on conspiracy theories that Taylor Swift's ties to the team were conducted to help Joe Biden get reelected. Yeah, I'm not kidding. A reporter decided to ask Andy Reid about Joe Biden getting reelected. Keep in mind, I am someone who's still trying to make it in the sports journalism industry. Who the fuck asked that question? He really No. There are questions you should never ask, and there's that. You don't ask that question. You keep politics out of Coach's way. I can't believe that reporter decided to ask that. Don't get me wrong. There are no such thing as stupid questions, yes. But you can't just ask somebody that. This is the freaking week of the Super Bowl. You think Andy Reid is going to actually answer that? Hell to the no. To this reporter who asked anything about Joe Biden getting reelected, and let alone Taylor Swift theories, I don't even want to see this whole Taylor Swift theory. You're dumb of the week. You might be dumb of the year. You people are dumb. Y'all are straight up stupid, goofy, dumbasses. And Patty Bex is correct. The sports world has gone crazy. Just please stop. Why are these reporters allowed to ask these questions? Who in Jupiter's Jingle Shoot gave that reporter a credential? I need to know. ASAP. But the reporter that asked that question, you're Dumb of the Week.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
All right. We got one more Dumb of the Week before I get shattered in pieces. All right, so as we all know, the NFL awards were last night. And in addition, the Hall of Fame was announced that same night. Now, me as a Chargers fan, I'm happy that Dwight Feeney was able to make the Hall of Fame. But you want to know who was snubbed in terms of the Hall of Fame? The one that was snubbed in terms of the Hall of Fame was none other than Antonio Gates. I don't know where to start with this. How the fuck do you snub Antonio Gates? Are you fucking kidding me, Hall of Fame committee? Whoever decided to snub Antonio Gates out of the Hall of Fame for this upcoming year, y'all can go fuck yourselves. I am so mad. I was so disappointed, I didn't even want to post. I had to save all my anger for this show, and I had to switch on the explicit tag. But Antonio Gates is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Yes, you can make the argument for Travis Kelce, who's still playing, Rob Gronkowski, and Tony Gonzalez, but Antonio Gates stayed with the Chargers. He even took a year off and broke the tight end's record after he came back from retirement when Hunter Henry tore his ACL. And you mean to tell me that Antonio Gates is not in the Hall of Fame? Seriously? And Patty Bax can add to this. and she says that DeMar Hamlin was snubbed for Comeback Player of the Year. I mean, you can obviously argue that. I mean, DeMar Hamlin obviously died on the field and then came back. Shout out to the Bills medical team for reviving him. And Joe Flacco just came back from the couch and from irrelevancy to lead the Browns to the playoffs, but I digress. And then Patty Beck says Josh is the real MVP. Yeah, I mean, you when it comes to the MVP, you can make an argument for anybody, whether it was like Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. The list goes on and on, but. Yeah, Patty Beck says Josh Allen is the real MVP. Yes, he is, and he did actually have to will the Bills to the playoffs for the most part. But I am so fucking pissed that Antonio Gates was not a Hall of Famer. I can't believe that. He's one of the best tight ends that the world is ever going to see. The NFL world is going to see. And it's like, you decided to snub Antonio Gates? Oh my God! I just could not believe it. What is the Hall of Fame committee thinking? I get it. I shouldn't be too mad at this, but as a Chargers fan, I'm so fucking pissed that I'm fuming. I just couldn't believe it. It makes me wonder if the NFL has an I kind of want to have a conspiracy theory when it comes to the NFL, and maybe the NFL is scripted. And Patty Back's, the Browns did make the playoffs, FYI. They just lost to the Houston Texans in the opening round. But back to my anger about Antonio Gates not making the Hall of Fame this year. Fuck this. I'm so mad. I just can't believe it. I just don't have the words to describe my anger and fury and frustration. I don't get it. What does Antonio Gates have to do to be a freaking Hall of Famer? If he's not elected by next year to be in the Hall of Fame, there's going to be more hell raised. I'm going to raise so much hell that Southern California is going to be shooting up in terms of degrees of the temperature. But to the Hall of Fame committee that snubbed Antonio Gates, shame on you. Shame on you for leaving a legend out of this year's Hall of Fame class. And for you doing that, you are Dum Dum of the Week. No fucking regrets. I said no fucking regrets.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time with your chest.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And that, my friends, is all she wrote. Can't believe they left Antonio Gates out of the Hall of Fame this year. Absolute asinine. Sickening. Those ass clowns are going to pay for it. I will make sure of it. Antonio Gates is getting into the playoffs. Or not playoffs. He's getting into the Hall of Fame next year. Like, what does he got to do to get into the Hall of Fame? Like, revive his career again and play for the Chargers? I'm just saying, y'all. But on that note, before I get deteriorated into pieces, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to get on out of here, because if I keep rambling on, my voice is going to get shot, and I'm probably going to throw up all over my mic. Yeah, dig. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, a.k.a. Terrence TED Talk, about why Antonio Gates got snubbed from the Hall of Fame. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. I apologize if I did have to start swearing, but I did turn on the explicit tag. And for those that don't believe me, just refresh your Spreaker page. Anyway, shout out to Patty Bax, who is in the chat room, who listened to the entire Dum Dum of the Week segment, and Jen B, Larry B, Mike Pat, and Ralph Cleese also popping in. I really do appreciate y'all tuning in. I will be at Long Beach State tonight for the Long Beach State UCLA men's volleyball match. It's going to be a real good one. And then Saturday, I'm going to be at the Galen Center at USC for USC Irvine in men's volleyball. It's going to be a fun one. I can't wait. Till then, have yourself a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy all of the SoCal sports action. Enjoy the Super Bowl, even though there are no SoCal teams involved in it. Maybe next year. I will see you all on Monday for Set Point and this weekend for all the NCAA men's volleyball matches in SoCal. Have a great weekend, and remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace!